Okay, so let's take a look at how you can do user management with SQL Server. So first thing, I'm going to open SQL Server Management Studio and I'll try to authenticate with Windows. So here you see I have option for Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. So if you use SQL Server, then you will have to use username and password. Currently we don't have any specific user with such, so we'll try to create one. Okay, so let's go with Windows authentication. So it will use your desktop's username and password, right? Next thing, here you can see within Object Explorer you will have this connection information where you can see you are connected with this particular Windows authentication. Now if we go to security folder, then logins, here we see all the available users here, right? So out of that, here you see the current user, right? Then at the end you see SA, system admin account, or server admin account, simply shown with SA, right? So if we try to edit this particular account, we'll have to right click and use properties, right? Now here you see within properties we have the default password, right? So if you want to change that, you can simply select this and change it, right? Similarly, you can enforce password policy so that it will have to enter by using the password. So if you remove this, it can be simply used with login name and entered. Similarly, there is enforce password expiration, so next time user logs in, they will have to use new password, right? So that's one thing. Next is you have server roles. So this particular SA account would require specific set of roles, right? So bulk admin, DB creator, then disk admin, process admin, security admin, server admin, setup admin, and sysadmin. So SA account stands for that particular server or system admin, so it makes use of these two server roles, right? Similarly, it has one more thing, which is user mapping, where your current user SA is mapped to database, so it has access to master database model MSDB and your tempdb and this worldwide importer, right? It doesn't have access to report server or your few other databases unless checked, right? So you can check it here and click OK. That should give it access, right? Then comes status. So if you decide to disable its login, then what will happen is it will get this red X mark over there that disables its login, and you can give it permission to database engine and deny it as well, right? So there is also SQL Server authentication field which is currently locked out, right? So that's for our SA account. So what if you want to create a new account? So to do that, what you can do is you can right click on this particular security, then logins folder, right click, and then new login. Now this opens up a new window, right? Here you see this particular new window. Currently it says you have to use a login name, right? But it default selects Windows authentication, which pretty much renders our username and password system useless. So we will go with SQL Server authentication. So it gives us option for password. So we'll see login name. Let's see something like DevPress, and let's see password demo 22, right? And then let's see, we have enforce password policy, enforce password expiration, user must change password at next login. So currently we have already given it a password, so we'll uncheck this. Then if you have any certificate to map to, you can select this and then point to certificate, then also map to a symmetric key, select it and select that, Then if you have credential mapping, you can do so by selecting this and then adding it. Okay, similarly you can also add and remove those credentials, as you can see, with these two buttons. Similarly, default database for this particular user can set to, let's say, STB if not master, right? And you can also set its other roles within server, which is, let's say, database creator, then public, then let's say you can go with server admin and sysadmin, right? So we'll take a look at these, some of the roles, then go for user mapping. Here you see I want to give it access to few databases, right, to start with, right? And now that we have access to this, you will also find that it will have that user next to this particular database, right? Then comes securables. So currently I'm not going through this as I'm covering this separately, so we'll skip securables for now. Then comes status. Now here, like previously explained, you can give it access to database engine, so it will have similar access to your default Windows user, right? So similarly also you have login enabled so that it can access with the password and username that we have just created, right? So password expiration is also one thing you can enable or disable it, right? Then you can also enforce password policy, which needs to be enabled, right? So all of these things done, we can click on OK. Now that user is created, currently as you can see it has this particular user added to logins, right? Now if you want to use this particular user's instance at the same time, what you can do is you can simply use this connect object explorer, right? Then here within authentication, we will try and check SQL Server authentication. Here we will give that user's login name, then password, right? And then we will ask it to connect, and it should create another instance. So here you see we already have first instance where we connected using Windows login name, password. Second being our current user, which is having access to particular set of databases like report server, TempDB, TestDB, and this worldwide importers database, right? So you get pretty much the same setting that you have set through your sysadmin account. And here let me go back to security, then login. And whenever you change some of the properties to your users, you will have to refresh, so that if you restrict it, you will be able to see whether that particular user is restricted or not, right? And it will be visible through icons like this. So right click, properties, and here we'll take a look at the connection properties. So when you want to make a connection, you will get properties listed through this view connection properties link, right? So here you see it gives you your platform details, and as you can see it has access to your master database, then protocol, timeout, and other details as well. So currently I'm on SQL Server 2019. So in near future, if you're using 2022, so it will have the same way to access your connection properties through logins for that particular user, view connection properties, right? So let's close this and also get out of this as well. Now you will ask what are some of these logins within your default logins folder. So here you see some of those accounts are service accounts, like let's say this entity authority system, SQL writer, win management, telemetry, reporting service. So this comes in along with your SQL agent and server. So reporting service is something I have previously installed, and covered as well. So that particular login account gets added at the time of installing it, right? Same goes for SQL agent, which gets installed at the time of your SQL Server installation. Similarly, you have MS SQL Server 2019, which is going to be the default. Same with system and WinWriter, Win Management and SQLwriter. Now, one more thing, these two accounts that I have created, which are user created. SA accounts comes with your default installation, so you will find it easily, right? Then comes your server roles. So here you see the roles that you create will then get accessed through your properties. So any role that you add in here will be accessible through this particular server roles option, right? So let's say if you choose server role, new server role, that will be opening new window, right? And you will be having options to choose what securables to cover within that particular role. Also, you can add owner, accept the permission, and then add that role, right? So here, as you can see, if we check sysadmin and check its properties, you will see what are some of the members getting access to this particular role, right? So similarly, we have covered server role, then our new users, then you have credentials. Currently we don't have anything there, right? So cryptographic provider audits and server audits will not be covering within this particular SQL Server user management. So currently our focus is on this logins, server roles, and how we allow and disallow a particular user from doing specific tasks within our SQL Server.